Howdy y'all, Nurse Dude here, and today I have a new product that I've been kind of teasing with on Instagram and YouTube posts, and it is the Sensitive Item Anchor Point by 6GS, sold via m4gunslinger.com. It's a cool little item, trying to give you guys the idea of kind of why I picked it up and why I think it's unique versus doing other ways. So if anybody's that's been in the military and had to deal with a PIC 15, you know they like to fall off really easily from your rifle. So what we used to do was take some 550 cord and kind of do like a package ribbon slash cordage around the device itself, and then have that lashed to your rifle. So when it did fall off, you could still have it, put it back on, and off you went. Well, it works. It's not the most pretty. It's kind of unsightly. And now that we have these really nice mlok rails, we're able to do it a little bit differently. And so the product that we have here is a tiny little anchor mount that uses one slot or half a slot of mlok rail that has a little machined part with a little hole through it and then a cable, so that way you can use your mlok rail to be able to mount and maintain your stuff. And the reason I like having this versus directly to the rail, which is because we can now remove this if we need to take off our optic or our lamb or anything else like that to do maintenance and other things like that. I think it works out a little bit better so that we don't have to completely redo it every single time, and it just kind of makes it a little bit neater and prettier all said and done. So I have two of them here, one for my scope, and the way I did that is I took it on my rail, routed it through the mount itself and then around the scope body, so that way, yeah, if I lose my red dot, I lose my red dot, but my scope's my really important slash expensive thing, so that way I'm able to retain that, forbid that the cross bolts and the nuts come off, and so that way I'm able to retain that. And then down here at the other end I have my lamb and my flashlight mounted together. So what I did was I took one strand, looped it across the mount of the body for the flashlight, hidden down there, you can kind of see it, looped it through the anchor point, and then around the battery caps retaining cable for my lamb. So that way these both are together off of one mount. Keeps it a little bit simpler, but kind of logic that if I ever needed to do work on the front of the rifle, I'm probably taking off both of them at the same time, so that way I don't have to independently mount them and take them on and off. I really like them. They're 20 bucks, which isn't too bad at all. And in the kit, you get one mount itself, 3 feet of the nylon cable, which I think is about a probably like a 5 mils braided cable that is nylon coated. And then you get 6 of these little called clamp tie guys, so that way you can make a loop. And then you get 3 pieces of shrink wrap, and it works out really nicely. If you kind of do it the way that I did it, where you did it really close, you get a lot of extra bit of cable left over. And I actually wound up using it on doing anchor points to my helmet for the things that I have on there. I have a task light and a flashlight, and then that way I'm able to do that. So if you give me a second, I can show you guys that too. So with my helmet, I was able to use my I can't remember, S&S Precision helmet mount here for my vampire light. I was able to mount it around the lamp's body and then use it down here with, I can't remember who makes these little guys. They might be Defense Mechanisms, I can't remember. But so that way I have a mount on here in case this comes loose and it doesn't fall off. And then I have my little Princeton Tech task light, and the way I did that with this one, with the idea that I might be able to want to take it off and be able to hand it off or do something a little bit closer, I have it up here with one of the S-beaners from Night Eyes that's locking, so that way I have it on my helmet with a little cable, so that way it doesn't fall off if I happen to brush up against something going in and out of the vehicle when I'm out at night, or if I'm just stupid and rip it off. That way it doesn't fall off and I can still retain it. So that's what I use the extra cabling and mountings for, and I think it worked out really well. It's nice and a little pretty there, so kind of a twofer if you end up buying one. I think the $20 is well spent and can be able to mount numerous different things to your sensitive items, to your pieces of gear. So I also have Mrs. Nurse Dude's rifle that needs them. So I have 2 extras that I bought. And so we'll bring her rifle up here, take the upper, and we'll be able to put it on. And I'll kind of show you guys how I did it myself. So I have Mrs. Nurse Dude's rifle here, also known as the Weifel. Upper, and what we're going to do is I'm going to probably hide the mount down there below the actual unit, so it might take a little bit of finagling to get it in there, and then I'm probably going to loop and mount it up against this light here. So what I'll end up having is one loop and anchor going through the actual anchor on the rail, and then one loop and anchor, and I'm guessing I'm going to probably scab off of probably the light cap amount. I'm thinking that's probably, or sorry, the not light cap, the battery cap cable. I'll probably scab off that mount to be able to do it, so that way it's a little less finicky. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe I might put it down here. I don't know. We'll pull it apart and we'll kind of see how much room we have and give a little bit of testing. But ultimately, what you're going to need is some wire cutters, and then I use these horizontal wire cutters for crimping the little anchor, and then our trusty box of bits with a wrench. So I'll probably end up fast forwarding and slowing down as I kind of get here for some commentary, and then let's see if we can't get this together and see how it turns out. So right now I am checking to make sure that I have enough clearance for the mount to actually fit down there. And it looks like there is just barely enough room, so I might scoot it up a little bit so I have a little bit of extra room, but it's looking like that might be the spot. So let's take this guy off completely, unplug the cable, which this one I've not had it prolapse yet, which is really nice. Set that guy aside. Let's move this up. And I probably will be torquing this to probably, the thing says 35. I'll probably end up doing 30 just because I'm a little paranoid. So I'm thinking that's probably where it's going to be. And if we look at our cable here, I'm probably going to loop it around this, go probably below, or maybe, oh no, probably on top, have it a little S, and then I'll probably loop it around this spot right here, mostly because, yeah, probably right there. My other unit has a really nice loop there that I can do it, so I'll probably do it that way. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'll probably end up doing this side first, looping it through, bolting it down, and then crimping and attaching it on this end last. That, or I could also undo this and kind of, do it cockeyed. So yeah, we'll see how it turns out. So here what I did is I slid in the short end, and then the long end I'm pulling to get it nice and tight with a little bit of extra to be able to give me a little bit of wiggle room. That's probably as small as I'll be able to get it. And then I have my horizontal snips inside the notch on the little crimper. Squeeze nice and evenly. And now I can give a little tug on it. Yep, so it's nice and anchored, even to the point of where I bent the wire cable. So there's one end of it, and I think it's probably going to end up floating about there. If you can imagine, kind of going that way up and up to the light. So we'll shrink wrap this really quick. I know you're supposed to use a heat gun as it is a little bit faster, but if you're careful with a lighter, it works just as well. Cool, so that's about where her light normally sits. So let's tighten this down, put the switch back on, kind of see how it looks all together. Cool. So now that I have it all squared away and everything, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to torque everything down, probably get out my pen marker and mark it down there so that way I can kind of see it hiding down there. And now we have it all anchored. So that way, if for some reason her light comes off and or vibrates off, or her lamp vibrates off, it will stay on the rifle and I don't lose it. Well, rather she won't lose it, and so I don't have to buy a new one. So if you guys kind of like this product and this idea of it, I will send a link down in the description below, and I hope you guys all have a really good day. Talk to you later.